Based on the evidence, this is a premeditated murder of 3 people. Do you accept that you have meticulously planned this murder? From the moment that she sent you that text message, you began to plan her murder. Yes?
You're watching Totally True Crime.
Totally True Crime.
Kyle Marcus Clifford was born on the 5th of April 1988. He was raised in Enfield, North London, and he was the third of 4 siblings. He joined the army when he was 19 years old, and he was described by a fellow soldier as someone who had a chip on his shoulder, and he said he was quite immature. Kyle managed to pass out from training, but only served in the British Army's Queen Dragoon Guards for just over 2 years, before dropping out in 2022. After he left the army, he worked for a fire and security installation company that was based in St Albans in Hertfordshire. But he left in 2023 and took a number of different jobs, including acting as a security guard. Kyle had been in contact with the police when he was young. He was arrested for possession of cannabis, assault without injury and theft, though these charges had never resulted in a conviction, so he was allowed to join the army and hold a security guard licence. In December 2022, Kyle went on a dating app and matched with a young woman called Louise Hunt. Louise was a strikingly beautiful young woman, but more importantly, she was talented, kind and caring. She ran a dog grooming business from her family home, and she was close to her mother Carol and her father John, who was a famous racing commentator. She also had 2 sisters who she was exceptionally close to, Amy and Hannah. Their family home was in Ashling Close in Bushey, Hertfordshire, and it was often the hub of family events, dinners together and time well spent. After 6 months, Louise decided to introduce Kyle, who was now her boyfriend, to her family. But as time went on, Kyle became controlling and obsessive. He started trying to dictate who Louise would see, what she would wear, and telling her that he didn't like her wearing makeup. He was jealous and obsessive, which was ironic, as he had been unfaithful to Louise with at least 2 women during their relationship. He was also openly racist, and this went against everything Louise stood for. After 18 months, she decided enough was enough, and she ended her relationship with Kyle. On the morning of the 26th of June, 2024, Louise spoke to Kyle face to face, and after they parted ways, she sent him this message. These voices that you'll hear are not theirs, but they are their words.
Good morning. Hope you're doing okay this morning. I'm sorry, Kyle, but I feel I can't continue with what we have. I feel like it's been broken and I can't ignore how I've been feeling or made to feel in our relationship over the course of the year. I don't know that in the future, if we both do the work on ourselves, this could be something amazing. But I just feel right now that I owe it to myself to take some space and walk away for my own sanity and health. Thank you for the incredible time we've had this year. I hope you know how much I love you and still will for a long time. I never want there to be anything nasty between us ever. Take care of yourself always, please.
Thank you for the clarity, Louise, so we can both start our healing process. I love you so much, and I will for a very long time. I will always be here for you. If you ever need me, please don't hesitate. I wish you all the best, and take care of yourself too.
Kyle seemed to be taking their breakup well, and despite the controlling behaviour, Louise was showing kindness and compassion. But Kyle had a plan to exercise revenge on Louise for ending their relationship. A relationship that was detrimental to her mental health. On the 28th of June, 2 days after they broke up, Kyle purchased a length of rope from a tool station store in Enfield. 2 days after that, he went online and searched for crossbows, as well as pornography. On the 3rd of July, he brought a crossbow for £357, which he had delivered to his home. This included 6 bolts and a cocking device. This was now a deadly weapon. He also purchased an air pistol, though Kyle never received it. The following day, on the 4th of July, Kyle brought 2 petrol cans from Halfords in Enfield, and then he went to a local DIY store to pick up 2 rolls of duct tape. The next day, he went to the gym and then went on a night out in London, staying overnight in a hotel. On the 7th of July, he receives a delivery, a 10-inch steel butchering knife that he bought on Amazon for £89. And on the 9th of July, Kyle Clifford would end the lives of 3 women. It's the 9th of July, and just before 10 a.m, Kyle is at a local garden centre with his mother, his father and his niece. Just after 1 p.m, he leaves his family home in Enfield and drives to Bushy, where Louise lives with her family. This takes less than half an hour. He pulls up outside their house and sees there are 3 cars parked outside, indicating that Louise, her sister Hannah and her mother Carol are in the home. In fact, Hannah was not in the home, but Louise and Carol were. Kyle then searches horse racing today on Google. John, Louise's father, was a famous racing commentator, and it's through this search that he discovers John is at work and not in the family home. Just after 2 p.m, Kyle knocks on the door of the Hunt home, and Carol, Louise's mother, answers the door. Kyle tells her that he has some stuff of Louise's that he wants to return to her. He'd also written Carol a fake thank you card, and he entered the home and starts attacking Carol with the knife. Carol died from her injuries. She was 61 years old. At 3:07 p.m, Kyle returns to his car to retrieve the crossbow, which he has hidden under a blanket, and then returns to the house. At 4:12 p.m, Louise, who had been grooming a dog in a pod in the garden the whole time, enters the house and she's restrained with duct tape by her ex. He then rapes her. Almost 2 hours later, he uses her phone to text her father, asking him what time he will be home. He replies he'll be home late. Kyle then uses Louise's phone to conduct 2 Google searches. The first search asks if unplugging a smoke detector would stop it from sounding an alarm, and the second asks if alcohol is flammable. At 6:50 p.m, Kyle shoots Louise with the crossbow, almost 3 hours after she first encountered him in her house. She died instantly, and she was just 25 years old. At 6:54 p.m, just minutes after murdering Louise, her 28-year-old sister Hannah arrives home. Kyle shoots her with the crossbow. He then flees the house, and incredibly, Hannah manages to call 999, but she died shortly after the ambulance arrived. CCTV footage shows Kyle walking back to his car calmly. He has a backpack on that conceals the knife he used to murder Carol, as well as the crossbow, which he's hidden under a blanket. He gets into his car and drives to a cemetery in Enfield, where he turns the crossbow on himself, shooting himself in the chest. The police were now aware that 3 people had been murdered, and it didn't take them long to place Kyle as the prime suspect. Officers were sent out on a manhunt to find him, and they found him in the cemetery, close to a noose hanging from a tree. He was taken to hospital, and whilst he was still alive, he'd managed to paralyse himself from the chest down. Meanwhile, John and Amy Hunt were being told that the three incredible women that completed their family had been murdered in their own home. News broke around the UK, and it shocked the nation. Kyle's photo littered news websites, with the public trying to comprehend how someone could do something so evil. Whilst John and Amy were left to grieve and come to terms with what had happened, the police were waiting for Kyle to recover so they could interview him. When that day came, he was arrested and questioned. In the police video, he sits in a wheelchair, calmly staring ahead at the detectives. He barely says a word.
Do you accept, Kyle, that based on the evidence, that this is a premeditated murder of 3 people?
No comment.
Do you accept that you have meticulously planned this murder from the moment that you split up Louise?
No comment.
From the moment that she sent you that text message at the end of June, you began to plan her murder? Yes?
No comment.
It's evident quite clearly from your purchase of the crossbow, from your purchase of the additional bolts, from the purchase of the gun and the knife, in the 2 weeks leading up to the murders. Do you agree?
No comment.
Do you agree that it shows that you only had one thing in mind, and that planning began when you purchased these items? Next thing I'd like to speak to you about, Kyle, is some more information, some more evidence that we've obtained from the download of your mobile phone. So on the mobile phone, in the notes section, there is a note which is titled Last Letter, and it's written to different family members as individual paragraphs addressed to each individual family member. This item was created on the 26th of June, and the last modification was on the 7th of July. The opening part of the note reads as such: "Please don't think of this as me throwing my life away. I have lived, and I am grateful for everything and everyone that has been a part of it. It is now my time to leave and be at peace, as this is what I ultimately want. I know you will all have so many questions and wish you could have done something different to prevent this. However, none of you have failed, and there is simply nothing any of you could have done. This is my decision to just be at peace. You all have to take care of each other and speak to each other, as that will be the best thing for you all. I love you all so much." You okay, Carl? To carry on? When you wrote that note, had you already planned the murders of Louise, Carol and Hannah? So I'm interested in the words "prevent this." So tell me what you mean by "prevent this."
Comment.
Do you mean the murders of Carol, Hannah and Louise?
No comment.
The next note is addressed to myself. "I don't want to live my life without her. I don't want to experience new things. Nothing I can think of can make me happy. I know I could have gone to therapy, found faith, and become a new, better person, but I just simply don't want to. I'm so sorry I didn't wait to move on and find my future wife, have the children I always wanted." What do you mean by that?
No comment.
Explain to me why you decided to deprive Hannah and Louise of that privilege.
No comment.
What gave you the right to do that?
No comment.
What gave you the right to deprive Carol of seeing her future grandchildren?
No comment.
It's a very self-centred note and doesn't take into account anybody else. Do you agree with that?
No comment.
There's no apology to the Hunt family, is there?
No comment.
The only apology is to yourself. Do you feel that these are quite self-centred words?
No comment.
Why didn't you seek help, Kyle?
No comment.
The questions being asked by the detective show that they knew this was a premeditated murder. The no comment that Kyle continues to mutter coldly proves that he had no remorse for his actions. A vigil was held for the Hunt family at a local church. It was standing room only, as those who loved Carol, Hannah and Louise came together to mourn them.
In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Our Mass this evening is offered for the repose of the souls of Carol, Hannah and Louise Hunt, and for the consolation and support of their family.
The police and Crown Prosecution Service started putting together their case, and they soon discovered something interesting. Kyle's brother, Bradley Clifford, was in prison, serving a sentence for murder. He had been jailed for life in 2017 after murdering a teenager in a road rage incident. He ran down 19-year-old Janshua Francis and 18-year-old Soban Khan in his beloved Ford Mustang after they hit his car with a bottle in August 2017. He rammed his car at the moped that they were driving, and the boys flew into the air, landing on the ground. Bradley then beat Soban as he lay injured on the ground. He later died from his injuries, with his post-mortem giving his cause of death as multiple injuries. This was all because the boys had broken the Mustang's wing mirror. He was given a 23-year minimum term for the murder of Soban and an additional 7 years for the attack on Janshua. A former employer of Kyle's told the police that he would often refer to his murderous brother as, quote, a geezer. And Kyle's family said that he had been devastated by his brother's incarceration. Kyle admitted to murdering Carol, Louise and Hannah, but he denied raping Louise. For this reason, the Crown Prosecution Service appointed a jury to determine whether he should be sentenced for that crime. The trial was held in Cambridge because it was accessible for Kyle's wheelchair. But at his sentencing, Kyle refused to leave his cell in Her Majesty's Prison Belmarsh. The judge was asked if he wanted Kyle to be restrained and either brought into the court by force or forcibly make him appear via a video link. But the judge said no, stating, quote, I have declined on the basis that the idea of a man in a wheelchair being put in restraints and potentially disrupting these proceedings is simply not appropriate or suitable. If the defendant lacks the courage to face today, so be it. But I'm conscious part of this morning will be people paying tribute to the 3 women who died, and I'm not having that disrupted by anything. The jury found Kyle guilty of the rape of Louise. Judge Joe Benathan said this at his sentencing.
Carl Clifford, on the 9th of July last year, you went to the home of your former girlfriend, Louise Hunt, and launched a murderous attack on her and her family. You first killed her mother, Carol, who even on that day showed you nothing but kindness in the moments before you attacked her. You raped and killed Louise, who had been as gentle as she could in ending her relationship with you after your arrogance and anger proved too much for her to stand. Then you murdered Hannah Hunt, who had done nothing to harm you save supporting her little sister. The evidence I have heard shows you to be a jealous man, soaked in self-pity, a man who holds women in utter contempt. This is no occasion to subject the family and friends of your victims to any delay or suspense. I therefore make clear at once that for each of these 3 murders, the sentence will be one of life imprisonment with a whole life order. That means a sentence from which you will never be released.
John Hurt, wanted to have his say in court, and somehow he managed to put together a lengthy but very important impact statement. He said, quote, "My name is John Hunt, and I am blessed to be Carol's husband and Hannah, Louise and Amy's dad. Thank you for returning the guilty verdict. Never again to make choices of your own, to breathe fresh air only occasionally, to eat when someone else tells you to eat. But just remember one thing. Whatever sentence you're about to receive, whether misery lies ahead for you for the next 60 years, remember that after your days on earth are done, on your dying day, there will be no release for you. The screams of hell, Kyle, I can hear them faintly now. The red carpet will come out for you. At that point, when the person you could have been meets the person you are, you will realise your miserable fate will last for eternity." Kyle Clifford will spend the rest of his life in prison. Thank you for watching. If you found this video interesting, please subscribe for more weekly true crime videos like this. You've been watching Totally True Crime.